Will Cayeton from the Kentucky Valley Educational Cooperative, and we are live broadcasting from Hazard, Kentucky. And it is a great privilege and pleasure to be joined by a special guest and colleague, Miss Hope Harp. So I'm going to step aside and she's going to talk to our students and teachers about all the wonderful opportunities available to them as they move beyond high school and transition into their career pathway. Hope, take it away.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I appreciate your time. So my name is Hope Harp. I work for the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio Regional Council of Carpenters, and I am what they call an outreach specialist. And so my primary function is I go out and talk to high schools, middle schools, any vocational schools, anybody that will sit down and listen to me for 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you about how great apprenticeship is and the opportunities that it provides. And that's what I wanted to do here today. We have multiple career pathways. The two big ones that we have in the east and southeastern Kentucky area would be the Carpenter and the Millwright. So the Carpenter apprenticeship program, when I talk about carpenters, I'm talking about commercial and industrial carpenters. I'm not talking about residential. We don't do residential carpentry. Everything that our carpenters are doing, they're building large buildings, schools, highways, bridges. Once those buildings are built, our guys go in and put in the drywall, the metal studs, all the fixtures, the doors, the flooring, the ceilings, anything like that. So that's what I'm talking about as opposed to a residential carpenter. And then the other pathway we have, which is my favorite, only because that's what I went through the apprenticeship for, and that's the millwright. We have a large population of millwrights, especially concentrated in the Magoffin County area that I've worked with a lot of the people from there, a lot of guys and gals from that area. But the millwrights, what we do, we're more of a mechanic. We go into plants and we install the conveyor systems, presses like at Toyota. We would go into the power plants and install and maintain the turbines. The Pop-Tart factory, Mountaintop Bacon, we go in there and do those conveyors and stuff like that in there. So we're more industrial mechanical. So if somebody was interested in cars and likes to take things apart and put things back together, the millwright would definitely be a good choice for them. Both of our trade pathways also are green pathways, and they are pathways with bright futures. So, and that's according to the ONET, where both of those trade pathways are considered to have bright futures and green building. So those are great pathways. Now getting down to the education part of it. So in high school, what can you do to prepare yourself for apprenticeship? Take vocational classes. People used to think that the vocational trades were the places where, well, Susie, she can't do anything else, so let's go stick her in the welding lab. That's not really what these trades are about anymore. These are high-paying careers. Our starting wage for a carpenter in the Lexington area is just on wages alone is right at $15 an hour. And that's not counting their insurance package. All of our benefits are paid by our employers. So my insurance, my pension, and my annuity, none of that comes out of my check. That all gets paid by my employer. So that's increasing my income without decreasing what I'm bringing home every week. These jobs are not last resorts. They should be first options. Our apprenticeship school costs nothing. Well, it costs $100 a year for your books. That's the only cost. I've got a daughter that is going to Bellarmine in Louisville right now, and it's $57,000 a year. Now, she did her part because God love her. She couldn't find her way out of a paper sack. So she had college as her only option. She has no way that she could ever do a trade. She doesn't have that kind of brain. So our options are so much lower cost. Like I said, $100 a year for books. How our apprenticeship works is you come to school 1 week every 3 months for 4 years. In between those weeks when you're coming to school, you're going to be working for one of our contractors, learning that hands-on. So it's earn while you learn. I'm not just going out and working every day in an internship where I'm not getting paid, but I'm actually going out every day, getting paid pretty darn good too for entry level. Any students that completed a carpentry pathway or welding pathway in the state of Kentucky, we have agreements with the Kentucky Department of Education to get those kids, instead of coming in at first year, some of them can come up to second year. So getting a full year of credit toward their apprenticeship just because they went to school every day and did what they were supposed to do. That $100 a year pays for your books. You come to school those 4 times a year. And then on top of that, you'll come one additional time every year. And that is for a college class that costs you absolutely nothing. We are through Indiana and Kentucky. So we actually use Ivy Tech for all of our college classes, which is Indiana's version of KCTCS. But at the end of that 4-year apprenticeship, they'll also graduate with an associate's degree, and that costs you absolutely nothing. Not only did it cost you nothing, but instead of going to school that whole time, you were working, so you made money. That's an important thing to me, to make sure these kids coming out of high school are making good money. With the way the world is right now, it's difficult out there. And, you know, our kids are the ones that are building our communities. Our kids are the ones that are taking care of their parents. It's very important that young people are making wages that they can live on, that they can have a life on too. And that's one of the things that our apprenticeship and our organization has always stood behind, is making sure that everybody's getting a fair shake. It is affiliated with the Carpenter and the Millwrights Union. That's why the apprenticeship doesn't cost anything, just like I talked about the wages and all your benefits being paid by your employer. For every hour that a member works in the state of Indiana or Kentucky, that employer pays 58 cents into the apprenticeship fund, and that's how it doesn't cost anything. So they're coming out 4 years later, not in debt, right? They were making money that whole time, so they're actually to the plus side on finances. They're coming out with a journeyman certificate. That journeyman certificate, because our apprenticeship, and right now apprenticeship is a big thing. Everybody's talking about apprenticeships. All apprenticeships are not created equally. You want to make sure any apprenticeship that you get into is going to be an apprenticeship that is registered with the Department of Labor. Our apprenticeships register with the United States Department of Labor. Some apprenticeships in Kentucky are registered through Kentucky's labor cabinet. But being registered, what that means is that program, that apprenticeship program, has standards that it has to meet. So that way, if something happens and I decide, well, I don't want to live in Syersville no more, I want to move to, I don't know, Tacoma, Washington, I can get my apprenticeship finished up here, move to Tacoma, Washington, and I'm a journeyman there, just like I was when I left Kentucky. So that portability is so important, because things happen in our lives where we don't get to stay in the same place. So maybe I need to move to help take care of a family member or something like that. I don't have to start over every time at the bottom again. When I move, I'm a journeyman in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm a journeyman in Lubbock, Texas. It doesn't matter where I go. So having that is very important, having that registered apprenticeship, making sure that that's what you're a part of. So they graduate with that registered apprenticeship, that journeyman's card that they can take anywhere. They also graduate with that associate's degree. Well, can't nobody take that from you neither. And that's halfway to a bachelor's degree. Let's say I decide I'm tired of working with my back. I want to go be a project manager. Your 62 credit hours already out of the way. And it's through a state a vocational school, a state college. So that way you're going to be able to transfer those credits. Credits don't always transfer. One little thing I will tell you from my experience with the state of Kentucky is kiddos, don't worry about those AP classes. Take those KCTCS classes. Take those dual credit classes if you want to go to college. Because those dual credit classes, you pass with a C, it counts. Many colleges on the AP exam, a 3, which is what's considered passing, no bueno. They don't care about that 3 on that AP exam. They want a 4 or a 5. So take those dual credit classes when you get the opportunity. At the end, what they have the option for is a career. The beauty of it is, you know what, like I wanted to be a millwright because I like taking things apart, seeing how they work and putting them back together. The good Lord didn't put me here to be a carpenter. I'll tell you that right now. I figured that out quick because I built some sawhorses that was like the house that Jack built. I couldn't get anything right. But there's so many different apprenticeships out there. The electricians, they have a wonderful apprenticeship. If you want to be an electrician though, you better have some high level math skills. You better come in with being able to do college level math because they are math heavy. Maybe welding, you really, really like welding. The plumbers and pipe fitters are a wonderful option. They have a great apprenticeship program and they cross-train. So they're like the plumbers, the pipe fitters, and they also do HVAC work. So if you went through an HVAC program in high school, think about the plumbers and pipe fitters. That's kind of not necessarily the first place my brain would go. Welding, the iron workers, the Boilermakers. There's not a lot of Boilermakers left in the United States anymore, but man, you won't find a better welder out there than a Boilermaker. The operating engineers, they also have apprenticeship. All of these trades that I'm talking about have apprenticeship programs that are pretty much set up like ours. The plumbers and pipe fitters and electricians, theirs is 5 years instead, but they're also that same deal where you're not coming to school every day. I couldn't do that. That's not how I operate. I needed to be able to be out there, putting my hands on it, messing with stuff. That's how my brain works. I'm a tactile or a kinesthetic learner. That's what I needed. And this was the opportunity that apprenticeship gave me. I didn't do well in high school because they would tell me things like, Hope, remember that C equals the square root of A squared plus B squared. And I'd be like, what am I use that for? And Miss Bagshaw, God rest her soul, said, you'll know it when you see it. Well, it's hard to learn things if they don't have value to me. And if you can't tell me what I'm going to use it for, it's hard for it to have value to me. When I got into the apprenticeship, we started learning how to use those things. And all of a sudden that math that was so hard for me, because now I can see it. It's right here in front of me and I can do something with it. It's not just gibberish and numbers and letters put together. So just think about that. There's so many things out there that you haven't even thought about yet. There are so many other options out there just waiting for you. You're coming into the workforce at the best time in history. Me, I'm out. I've got my 30 years in. That's another beauty of it with our, with most trade union retirement programs. You get 30 years of service and 55 years of age, you can be gone. When I started, it was just straight 30 years and out. I've got 31 years in. And the only reason I stay now is not because I have to work. It's because I really like what I'm doing. And I want other people to know that these options are out there and that they're good paying options. You can support a family on what we're making. You can support a family well. I did. I'm putting a kid through college, through really, really expensive college. Because of mostly because of her work, but she's not going to have to get student loans to cover the remainder because I can pull that money out of my annuity. She's going to graduate from Bellarmine with a 4-year degree, owing zero. If to do the things that she wants to do, you got to go to college. If you want to be a nurse or you want to be a medical laboratory scientist, which is what she's going to school for. If you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, by all means, go to college. If you don't know what you want to do, someplace that costs $50,000 a year to go is probably not the place to figure it out, right? Stay home with mom and dad. Get you a trade. Maybe right now, maybe even your home life is not the place you need to be. There are other options there. Job Corps. You all have some beautiful Job Corps centers right down there around you in Frenchburg. And then there's one down at Pine Knot, down right outside of Stearns. Those are residential living campuses. You stay there on site. Most of them, well, those two are both in the middle of a national forest. It's beautiful. You learn skills. If you didn't graduate from high school, if you didn't get your driver's license, things like that, that's stuff they're going to help you with. You're going to learn life skills. You're going to learn technical skills to be able to get a job. So there's so many things out there that are there to help you. Myself, Will, there's all these people out here that all we want for you is the absolute best. We want you to have the opportunities.
Fantastic, Hope. Cannot thank you enough for sharing all that invaluable information. And before we close, could you just share with our students and teachers out there in our service region, if a student is interested in what you described, what do they need to do? Who do they need to contact?
Well, they're always more than welcome to contact me directly. I guess probably because my email address, it's crazy long. If you want to distribute that email address, that would be fine. We also have a website that you can go to that you can just look around. You can check things out. You can also apply to a campus near you. For your region, most of the people would go to the Louisville campus. When you go to Louisville, there's a hotel room provided for you for the week. You get a small, like $25 a day to eat off of at the end of the week. And you get a small mileage voucher. So you would go up there, but you can go to ikorcctraining.com. And that is going to be our website. You can get more information on there. My phone number is my cell phone number, and I do text or phone calls. You'll probably have to leave me a message the first time, but my phone number is area code 502-889-1677. And if teachers or anybody wants to get a hold of me, I have handouts that pretty much talk about all the bullet points that I spoke about today. And I'm always here for questions. I still cover the entire state of Kentucky as well as the eastern portion of Indiana. So I'm more than welcome. I'm more than glad. You're more than welcome to ask me to come to you and speak to your kids. In this day and age with Zoom, I would love to do Zoom meetings. I can hit a bunch of Zoom meetings in one day where it used to would take me a day to go from one school to another. So anything I can do to facilitate the success of you, your program, your students, and your community, please reach out to me, because that's what I'm here for.
Well, that's exactly what we'll do. And I look forward to working with our teachers in our service region and scheduling you for some workshops, albeit by Zoom, given the distance to help us with travel. And there may be some instances where you come in and we do a live workshop once we return to in-person classes, but we can certainly do workshops through Zoom. So look forward to scheduling those moving forward. One last question before I forget, and you may have covered this, so forgive me if I missed it. If I'm a high school senior and I didn't take any career and technical education classes, I didn't take any carpentry classes, but all of a sudden I'm a senior and I've become aware of this opportunity for an apprenticeship in carpentry or millwright, am I still eligible to move forward with the program that you're describing, or have
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
key.
I didn't come through a vocational program. I went just to a regular high school. This was a long time ago, back in the 1900s, right? They didn't really help women know anything about vocational things. I grew up on a farm, so I always wanted to take things apart and fix them and see how they worked. But yeah, you still have the same opportunity as anybody else. If you take, like, I think all the juniors in Kentucky take the ACT. If you take the ACT exam and you get 17 or higher on your English, your reading and your science, and an 18 or higher on your math, you get what we call direct entry. And what that means is you can come in and come to an interview and then get in without taking any type of work keys testing. If you didn't take an ACT or you didn't score high enough on the ACT, then you have to take the work keys testing. We pay for all that. We schedule all of that. Otherwise, what you would want to do for anybody that's interested in getting in, go to that website, ikorcctraining.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner, it'll say apply here or application. Click that application, fill it out. You would select probably the Louisville campus, unless you're less than 75 miles from the Grayson, Kentucky campus. Which is out by the Veterans Cemetery there on the Industrial Parkway. Fill out that application. It'll go to the training center that you select. And then you'll also need to get on Parchment or contact somebody from your school and have them email a copy of your transcript. You can have it go on and email it directly to me, or once you get a call back from the training center, you can email it directly to one of those secretaries. But everybody's going to have my email address pretty soon, I think. So that's perfect. Because like I said, that's what I'm here for. Once you, if you went through a program like Tommy Judd's there in Lee County, or I'm trying to think any place else down in Sandy Hook, they have a program there too. If you go through one of those carpentry or welding programs in high school, then make sure that you check that off when you're filling out the application online. And as always, if you have any questions, you don't know what to do next, you just want more information from a real live human being, holler at your girl. That's what I'm here for.
That is perfect. And with that, I think we will bring our discussion to a close. And how apropos that you mentioned to holler, because it's customary for us to close our discussions here at KVEC's professional broadcasting studio, which is called The Holler. We'll holler at you later.